Hey guys, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here, and
Andy here. Hello.
Yes! He's real. Look.
Yeah.
I told you this.
It's the guy off the telly.
Yeah.
I say the same about you guys.
Mate, we are delighted beyond words to have you with us.
It's a thrill to be here.
Oh man, I'm going to be fanboying. I'm just giving you a fanboy warning.
I could take it. Yeah.
When we got going, there were a handful of people that we looked up to
Long before we got going.
long before we got going. But you were the guy that, when we looked at demos and looked at guys, on YouTube, you were the guy that was like, okay, there's everyone else, and there's Andy.
For anyone who doesn't know, for anyone who's been living under a rock since the internet was invented, Andy was the face of Pro Guitar Shop demos, right?
Yep.
And
I actually didn't start off with the face. It was just the pedal. And
Yes!
and my finger coming in, which I'm embarrassed about to this day because I'll get into that
back
later.
when YouTube was mono and low
Yeah.
resolution. And so for anyone under the age of 20, you won't have a clue what
Yeah,
we're
those are
talking
old
about.
days.
But yeah, so Dan, are we going to say that Andy was largely responsible for setting the format for online pedal demos as we know it?
I'll say it.
Are we going to say that?
I'll say it.
Oh, I'm honored.
What do you think about that?
Okay, let's check this out. Andy, before we get to the Reverb thing, Pro Guitar Shop demos, how many videos did you do?
I think it was around 2000. I mean, we had a couple hundred go down because they weren't to our specs, and that was largely the first few dozen. I think we're like, no.
To put that into perspective, we've been going 3 years. How many have we done? 220 or something?
Really?
Man.
Yeah.
But you have so much. Your videos are so much longer and so much more informative.
Yeah, because we don't know what we're doing.
Quantity, not quality.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe we could teach you a thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were chatting earlier a little bit about how that started.
Right.
It was because you couldn't see stuff, right?
Yeah. We had this little shop in Portland, Oregon, and we were carrying some of these effects. Like I had never seen them. Like the reason this one's on the board, the MI Audio Neo Fuzz, Australian made. I didn't know any of these companies. Barber, Zvex, and there was only a handful of guys really doing this. Like Zvex was actually one of them. He came out of the gate just doing it right. Black background. And,
so unlike.
I mean, that was the thing. I mean, we didn't charge for it. We just wanted it to be a resource. If they wanted to buy the pedal, that was fine too. But it was really just, like in the States, Guitar Center they had Boss and DOD Digitech and, a few brands, but they didn't have Fulltone. They didn't have, Barber and things like these.
So what year are we talking about there, Andy?
It's about 2007. Yeah, and end of 2007. That's actually when it was the first job I came up to Portland after a couple years as an assembler at Fulltone.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and not really doing any of the real creative stuff, but it was great experience, and just finding out how circuits work. And I got to select some really great 69 fuzzes with the NKT 275s, and so I grabbed one of those for myself. And it would be on the board, but I just didn't. If anything happened to it, it would just crush me.
Yeah, I think we all have those.
Yeah.
That's like my 2011 Metal Zone.
Yes, there's another Metal Zone video coming up though. They've just done a Watercraft version of the
Did
Metal
they
Zone.
finally do it?
They've done it.
Wow.
It's done. Released today.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought the Keeley modded Metal Zone was great.
Oh,
you know?
Great. The Analog Man
one
modded
before
Metal
the
Zone.
end of this video.
Awesome.
Simon, you have to remind us we're going to plug in the
Watercraft Metal Zone
before the end
Yes!
of this video.
Yes.
So we'll get Andy to demo it.
Yeah.
Yes, come on. That's brilliant. Sorry, I'm
love it.
excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's so unlike me. There are a bunch of questions I want to ask you about your playing style. I look at your right hand and just go, because it looks like you're playing with a pick, and it sounds like you're playing with a pick, and then all of a sudden you do this stuff.
Yep.
But I think before that stuff,
The octopus.
But before we get there, this is your pedal board.
Yes, I've dragged this thing across the pond. And it's been a while since I've actually had like pedals interacting with each other, because the way I do demos, you get something new, and I just had a blank board pretty much with a tuner and a buffer, and it's really been cool finding out how some of these, and these are some of the pedals I've just been hanging on to forever, and just to hear how a vibe and a phase sounds together again. Like usually the demos, I might throw some drive in front if it's a delay or something. But yeah, just hearing these combinations, that's where it's at, and that's performing. And I had this G2, thankfully Dan, helped me out with this G2 when I did the demo, and it was the only switcher. I mean, I never thought about a switcher until I tried this, and it's enabled me to put stuff like this old DOD on here, which are notorious for not being true bypass and affecting other pedals, and so I just had to go with it. And then this Schmidt Array board. And it's really funny coincidence, because I think we all ordered this board, which is now, it's the 525.
Yeah, I think three of us were actually three of the first people to get these.
And it was just a coincidence, because I mean,
Martin's not stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was great. It was just great talking to Martin. I was actually thinking about getting something longer, but then it was actually your fault too, because I saw the Josh Smith board,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll put a wah on, but not all the time. And I don't really need a huge board, for wah and expression pedal and volume pedal.
I had a rack case before this, and it was a custom pedalboards one that was big. It was actually quite a bit physically bigger, and yet I can get more pedals on there simply because of the increased
depth.
depth.
Yeah.
You're right, yeah. And I only have about 2 underneath this shelf, but I mean, I probably could put more.
Sandwiches.
Yes, I was thinking of putting those.
It's a good place
So
for
neat.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
I know.
Nice work, mate.
That is neat.
Well, I just followed your guys' lead.
But then when you go under there, there's a little reward, isn't there? Yeah. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's like, hello.
Yeah, he's a secret weapon.
Okay.
So, as far as your own personal sound, because we hear you, the G&L Legacy Strat, something that you played for a long time.
Yeah.
It's not a Strat.
Sorry, the G&L Legacy S-type guitar.
Yeah.
I can say S-type guitar. I mean, he named it to begin with.
You can say S-type guitar.
I can.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Without us having to re-edit the video.
I think we leave it in.
I think we'll-
Because
okay.
it's a great comment. It's good for comments when you say things like that, Daniel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm great for comments.
Yeah, we should try some clickbait titles as well.
So yeah, we've seen you with that, and we've seen you with the 65 amps. You use a lot the Soho. I think, was it?
Yeah. What's funny is I only used it for a year, and it was like 2008 to 9, or maybe 9 to 10. So I really didn't do a lot of demos with it, but it just, that combination stuck. I think it was good because 65 amps were like, they're out of Los Angeles, and it had Peter Stroud behind it, and it was just sort of like, unobtainable stuff, I think, and they were great hand wired. But I think the reason it stood out is because it's like, well, how am I supposed to hear how this pedal sounds? I don't even know that. I don't have a bass line for that.
Yeah, right.
So it was really quick. I think it was 2009. We took a vote. AC30, twin reverb, deluxe reverb. What do you want to see? And it was just hands down the deluxe reverb.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'd never really played those kind of clean Fender amps. It was always these guys.
So Marshall is where you live.
Yeah, well, actually, my first amp was a 50 watt, the Master Volume, late 70s one. And then I got...
JMP?
Yeah. Well, it was the 2-input model. I think that's still technically JMP, right? Yeah. And then I was like, I need a little more headroom. 50 watts. And, it could have been just the caps, it was just like a little too brown for me. So then I got...
How loud were you playing?
Just, I guess I've always had loud drummers,
It's like this one, though. It gets very distorted very quickly.
It does.
Yeah, so
sure.
if we're on 3 here and you go up to 7 or 8, it's just gainier. It's not really that much louder. But I got an orange OR 120 from the late 70s, and that was forever my main amp, just because it had, you could get really nice kind of like, just high watt style stuff, but then it was the overdrive model, so it has this, this gain knob on here that just gets crazy, almost like a fuzz. But then I kind of went back to Marshall and found, I got really lucky. Within like 2 years, I found a 69 major PA head, which weighs a ton.
You still got that?
Yeah, KT88s.
200 watts.
Goodness.
Yeah.
So they run the plate voltage at like nearly 800 volts.
Yeah. There's something funny about the way that if you hit it hard, they call it the smoke on the water effect, because the board would just black out. All the diodes would just, freak out. I guess there's ways around that these days, and it's really clean.
Well, Stevie Ray used to use one for his clean sound.
Yeah,
right?
Wow.
So I've never actually had one. Maybe
that was sort of like a gem that I just hung on to. But really, the 7200 watt super lead. Yeah. That's the sound I'm done kind of tone chasing. No, not really. But really, I wanted that sound since I was a teenager. And that's it. That's the song remains the same. Concert. That's it. I mean, and an Echoplex.
We're already into tangents, but for anyone who's not played very many plexis, the difference between a 100 watt plexi and a 50 watt plexi is colossal.
Right.
They may as well be different.
Yeah.
They may as well be called completely different. Well, they are called completely different things. They may as well be completely.
It was that
different
headroom, that I noticed right off the bat, because I do like to play like kind of halfway, and sometimes I'll jump the channels, but really with humbuckers I found I don't really have to jump them as much because and they're all different. So like mine isn't really bright, so that I don't need that normal channel.
That one, 50 watt, is bright and gainy.
Yeah.
So we're going to mod it actually because it's something not entirely right about that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, bright cap or. Yeah, I don't know a lot about that stuff. I have there's a guy in Portland, Brian Sowers, who he knows so much about amplifiers. He's done all kinds of stuff, for Isaac Brock from Modest Mouse, and basically anyone who runs through Portland, that gets their amps looked at by that guy. So thankfully, I have him to do that nerdy stuff for me.
Yeah, well, we're YouTube, Screwdriver, couple of crocodile, couple of crocodile clips.
Ooh, yeah. Just keep one hand in your pocket. That's the golden rule.
And stand on one leg.
Yeah.
Don't do this at home, kids. Right, so for the purposes of today, we've got the 50 watt plexi. We've also got Supro Blackmagic just to give a little bit more headroom there.
Yeah.
And we're running into 2 amps together.
Which is new for you.
I really never. I mean, I always had the Marshalls with like a 412. And that's enough.
Absolutely. Yeah,
but early on, we were talking about the wet dry thing. In the old days, when I had that Marshall, but I only had like a 112, and it just, with a drummer, it doesn't sound really that big. So I had this. It didn't even matter what amp it was. I had a Squier 15 solid state practice amp, but I did the digital delay maximum wet and a very small delay time, and it didn't even matter what amp it was.
There's nothing new here.
Instantly, yeah.
No, we were just discussing this. Yeah, exactly the same thing last week.
It's a great sort of just aha moment, and I think they were selling stuff like that in the satellite amps they called it, with just a reverb wet signal.
Do you remember Boogie actually did a 112 called a satellite?
Oh, really?
It was a Simul satellite. It was called, I think.
Okay.
And
I remember that.
It looked exactly the same as one of the Mark Series amps, but it was 60 watt power stage with basically nothing in it.
Nice.
And that was the idea. And that was at least 25 years ago.
We're kind of slow as guitar players to catch on. I really want to get into MIDI, and I watched your show on MIDI, and I was like, oh, I got a pedal that'll do MIDI, the Phaser. But I haven't hooked it up yet, so.
And what was that word again?
My die.
M1D1.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite.
You said MIDI, and I could feel my face going, oh, no. And Dan's like, oh, interesting.
Okay, let's hear some sounds.
Sure.
Because I'm fascinated to hear what you choose.
Yeah, like I said, it's kind of it's almost like a resume, of myself on this board.
Because you did that one, right?
The Alter Ego too. Yeah. I had all the vintage units at the shop, and I just basically tweaked the TC software to get as close as I could. It's there's parameters you guys figured out. It can't do everything. Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to get that Bucket Brigade dirt and clock noise and stuff. Yeah. But the voicing and the way, especially the repeats, like with the tape echo style stuff, the bottom end has to roll off for it to get brighter and bright. Like everyone thinks tape delay gets darker and darker. It might with an old tape.
Yeah.
But you guys probably figured that out.
Well, yeah, we did the show on that and the tape delay show, and also the Echo Rec. Yeah. And that there were those digital delays that used to come out that had the tape switch.
Yeah.
And just put that resistor and
yeah,
and everything was
a blanket.
No, that's not it at all. Really great sounding tape delay is so clean.
Yes. I think people like Strymon have got it. They sort of there's reached a stage where they really, I think, just listened to these old units and said, "Oh wow, it's
Can
got
we-
a bit
can
of
we-
modulation."
Why don't we
So,
Let's
start
hear
there?
that.
I'm just
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah.
just gonna make the point that this is TC Electronic Flashback in a special edition called the Alter Ego. If you don't know that, and it was done in conjunction with Pro Guitar Shop, and Andy voiced it just to clear that up.
I've got the 4-way one.
right, the X4, yeah.
X4, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, that's great because you have all the presets.
Yeah.
So what is your favourite sound in it?
It's
then? Come on,
it's
then.
tough. I mean, I think the before I got the Catalinbread, I was using the no, that's not. Let's see. Oh yeah, EP1. See?
And then how that bottom, you
Yeah.
hear that bottom end sort of
I really
shaking and-
tried, yeah.
Yeah, man, that's
you-
awesome.
But every Echoplex, of course, is different because you have different types of tape that someone thought should go in there, and it's maybe not biased correctly with the heads, but they all sort of share that characteristic, and then the modulation isn't overdone. I
Sure.
think that was key.
It's lovely.
It's so good.
It's lovely.
It's so good.
Two things to say. One is, if you can notice some plastic on the pickguard of that guitar there, it's because it's absolutely brand new. We haven't taken it off yet.
Oh, yeah.
Are we allowed to take it off?
We are, but it'll take it. You have to undo the screws and
Yeah.
everything. So anyway, blah blah blah. We'll get onto that in another video. The second observation is, can we hear it next to the
You want to compare with the Belle Epoch?
a little bit?
Okay, yeah. Oh, and the thing I've done with this, just like an Echoplex, I have it after everything.
Yeah.
Because I always want to run through that buffer, and I tried it just in the loops, and it just it changed. You know, when you took it out, you noticed a difference. So I was like, well, let's keep.
So you're going to have it on all the time
Yeah.
anyway, so free up a loop. put it
Yeah,
on the
that's
end,
exactly
yeah.
why. Yeah, I have an
Yeah.
extra loop to put something else. So, you know, I got some room. Yeah, so this is the regular Echoplex setting. And you have the record level, which is, I think, key because you could get it to break up a little bit.
Oh, wow.
But see, there's the bottom end, you know, the low cut.
I'm so getting one of those.
Everyone says it's awesome. Dan and I haven't played one. So
Oh yeah, it's. I mean, I've always had an Echoplex, and there's a reason this made the board. It just does every part of it. Even that noise that you get when you slide that head back and forth. I don't know how they've done it, but it's basically like they say, everything except the tape. There's orange drop caps in there. And,
Really?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the same preamp and everything
It
as
is
well.
the preamp. Yeah.
Oh my word.
it just shows. I mean, you know, the Alter Ego sounds great,
It does.
Yeah.
and I think certainly when we've had that pedal on the show before, we've always, I think even Simon said, I need one of those. Simon's pretty picky. Simon, sorry to say that, but Simon's pretty picky about his stuff. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah. You normally avoid anything digital because you
Yeah.
can always tell that sounds really good,
That sounds wonderful.
but that sounds spectacular.
It does sound epic.
Especially when you put some drive, because I mean that's the, like I was saying with the Marshall, that's that 73 Jimmy Page tone with, you know.
Oh, let's hear it.
Come on,
the
let's come on.
slap back here. So let's see here, little drive here.
Okay.
Just going to turn that off a sec. Could you just give us a tiny bit of that again?
My reverb pedal just went in the bin.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
I think the slapback is like, it's really underrated, you know? If you don't have reverb on your amp, that'll do.
It's a great, that is a
And you
great...
get the little bump from the preamp in there. I mean, you could get crazy and just crank it up.
I think we better order some before this gets...
yeah.
Before this
That's
goes
a
out.
really good idea. Wow.
Exceptionally cool. Yeah, okay, so we did the...
So we want to talk about
thing off.
maybe the...
I think it would be appropriate to ask you about your technique at this
Well,
point. Because
okay.
I'm sat there watching you going, whoa!
Yeah.
Seeing it on video, seeing it in real life is different.
I can never make up my mind, as you can tell. Like, sometimes I want to do like the kind of a pedal. Little chicken picking thing. But it's, yeah, the nail, like you're asking me, it's,
Yeah,
how
so
are
we
you
see
getting
you-
the attack?
So, you know, in some of the rockier sounded videos, and you're doing this, and it looks like and sounds like you're using a pick.
Yeah. Well, I try.
And-
I mean, that's the thing. I think when you hear some of these comments, it's like, oh, I don't think, you know, you're doing an accurate representation of this thing. But I know...
Are you saying that people leave comments suggesting that you could do things
There are
better
a few.
online? Does that happen? We love you. Please
yeah.
comment. Please keep commenting. We love the
Yeah.
comments.
But I wanted to sound like a person that played with a pick. Like, I wanted to sound like...
That is mega. That's
I wondered maybe if it was one Christmas and you'd asked for some plectrums and you didn't get them,
And you
so you
Right.
I'll show you!
You're gonna do it anyway.
It just never felt right.
Sarah!
I didn't do it out of spite. I mean, I started with lessons and I tried with the pick, and it just felt wrong from the very beginning.
So, how are you doing it? When it looks like when you're doing, it looks like you're playing with the pick. What's happening?
So there's two approaches. So we'll say the thumb, and that's really the thumb nail.
How do you have any nail left?
It's actually really short. If I leave them long, it'll kind of crease, and that's like just gives me the willies. You know, that's the worst feeling. So I keep them short, and then plus I just always bite my nails, so I have no choice. But
Mine would disappear. I mean,
Yeah.
I get. You can tell I've been doing some gigs because it's all gone off this part of
Yeah.
my. I've also got a splinter today down. That's interesting, isn't it? But
yeah, well, this finger, it's a lot of there's a lot more touch and
oh, sorry.
sure. Oh, here we go. Over here.
Yeah, I turned it off because of.
There's a lot more plucking and popping a little bit, but it's really to get individual strings, arpeggios, and things like that. But if I need to get really fast, it's weird. It feels weird to do the fast finger thing at the low string. Okay, I have to support myself. Here's, it's weird talking about it because it just happens. So, sometimes I try to do both. That's like a.
That's awesome.
That's mental though.
That's awesome. Wow.
That's what I like about that is that anyone who plays with fingers regularly will know that the variation in tone you can get out of the flesh of your your hands and your nail is far exceeds anything you can do with a pick.
Right.
So I guess it's an advantage in that way.
I think so. I think and that's going back to like the comment of like this, say a dynamic overdrive. You know, a lot of people just have one dynamic, one approach. So we'll go back to like a overdrive here. You know.
That's why I'm not a big fan of compressors.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
For that very reason.
There's no compressor on the board, so yeah, that's. I do like them in the studio, obviously, and bass. I mean, it's just like, and especially some of these plugins that are coming out now too with 1176 plugins. With well, you guys use the Apollo too, right?
We do.
Yeah,
You
it's massive. I just go direct with that and 1176 a little bit, and then their virtual Ampeg SVT.
Yeah. It changed.
So this is when you're doing backing
unit
tracks.
completely,
Yeah. So sorry to jump ahead.
No.
Yeah, that's. I used to do. I never really mic'd bass, but direct, and then the drums, like.
Again, for anyone who doesn't know, Andy usually makes a track that he'll play over to demo stuff over, and it's a fantastic way to demo stuff.
Brilliant.
But you obviously compose and program the tracks.
Yeah. It's kind of when I'm feeling extra ambitious. You know, sometimes I think, like for delays and reverbs, it kind of, I feel like I don't need to do it because it almost covers it up.
Yeah,
sure.
So I'm always trying to play to the pedal. But yeah, the drums are MIDI, and I start with like maybe a loop in. I use that Contact program with the Abbey Road drums, which are amazing.
Who's that? Native Instruments.
Yeah, Native Instruments.
Yeah.
So I'll start with, they have loops in just a measure that you could drag in, but I'm always tweaking them. And
I was going to ask, so when you get a pedal to demo,
yes,
right? Because I want to talk about your approach to how you demonstrate these things, because it's been so influential to everyone that is on YouTube doing this. And so
slightly uncomfortable. I know.
So okay, if you get a pedal, the Neo Fuzz from MI.
Yeah.
How do you decide how you're going to present that pedal?
Yeah, the first thing I do is I just listen to what the pedal wants to do. I'm not trying to. If I came with a song already in my mind, I think that would be the worst thing, because what if it doesn't
Didn't
sound
work
like
for
that?
that.
Yeah. So.
So okay,
you want to see
let's
what,
hear that.
what
I want
it reminds me
exactly,
of?
Exactly.
Okay, so with this setting and these really bright MFD pickups,
Magnetic
it's not
field design.
Yeah, the G&L. I think that's their term.
Leo did it, didn't he?
Yeah.
Leo did everything.
Yeah, ceramic pickups.
So they're really crisp. So, if that's all it did and didn't have all these extra trimmers, I probably wouldn't play like Manic Depression or something, because that's kind of a woollier sound, But thankfully there is.
So cool. It's so cool.
It's quite mad, that, because I think one of the things that you demonstrate ably there and in your videos is a sympathy for the pedal and for whatever it is you're playing. So your interaction between the guitar, the pedal, and the amp has a sympathetic understanding of what the end result should be. Sure. Whereas when you hear some people just plug in and go, oh, this pedal's supposed to sound like Manic Depression, and then they hit it with every bit of technique that they have, and it sounds nothing like it.
Right.
No sympathy.
It's almost like they're not listening. Yeah, like that term pedal whisperer kind of came out with me. But I don't know. It's kind of true, and that's a really great observation.
Tell me you have a T-shirt, pedal whisperer.
If you don't,
soon.
we're going to have one soon.
Right. That's awesome.
Did that come from experience of doing pedal demos, or is it something you think you always kind of had?
I think it kind of came back to like the catalog of songs, like we were talking about. Like I was always listening to, like, I grew up on my dad's music, which was all that classic rock stuff, and so I just kind of had that file cabinet of songs in my head, and so I'd hear these pedals and it would just trigger it. It would just, and I don't I have 2,000 demos plus. I don't know 2,000 songs off the top of my head, but I go back to YouTube and I see some, great, kid learning it, and I learn it back, you know, and so thank you. You know, just it's a good reminder. And then I'll just play it, and it's you're right. If I just came out and I had a set way of playing and I played the same thing, you hear those guys at the shops, you know, they have their set licks, and it doesn't really even matter what pedal they're trying out.
Sounds the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you you said 2,000 plus videos. How long does each one take you from start to finish?
Yeah, it's at least a day and a half. Yeah.
Work that out. That's a few years. Of,
Yeah. Well, I've been doing it for 10 years. So
that is nuts.
and along the way, I've had help
amazing.
with editing and stuff. But the first, definitely the first few hundred, I was just because it was just the pedal view, and that was the nice thing about it. I didn't really want to be in front of the camera. I just wanted to, again, do that resource where build a library of pedals and show, you know, what this setting did, and that was it. And then I think it was maybe even this amp, the 1987 is one of my oldest demos, and you could tell I'm just so uncomfortable. And I thought, I should probably play with the pick. So my playing is terrible because I'm really timid, you know. I don't have, you know. So
it's learning in public is a tough thing, isn't it? Dan and I have done our fair share of that, of kind of making the mistakes in order to you know, get a little better at
absolutely
at what you're doing.
Yeah, you don't realize things you do until until it's up and everyone's commenting on it.
I love the dad rock reference as well. Dan and I get accused of being dad rock. All I'm going to say about that is our dads were listening to Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton.
Yeah, my dad saw Jimi
My
Hendrix.
dad wasn't.
Yeah.
He was listening to organ music.
Shh! Don't tell anyone. Anyone who's criticising us for being dad rock, your dads were listening to NSYNC. So that's all I'm going to say about that, right?
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, I always say it like when I was growing up, it was like people were listening to Vanilla Ice and I was learning Iron Man. You know, so I was always kind of like off. You know, I never really followed the.
How many kids in your school played guitar?
Oh, hardly any. Yeah.
And was it uncool?
I don't know if it was. I think they just hadn't. Yeah, maybe it was uncool. I mean, there was in high school there was certainly a lot more, but in like earlier years,
And that was in
I didn't know
California?
any. Yeah, I didn't know any guitar players.
I was talking to Doyle Bramall the other day,
Hey, as you do.
and he said exactly the same thing.
Really?
He said when he was growing up in high school, no one played guitar, and it was deeply uncool.
Well, we had bands. There was definitely some cliques. You know, there was like five or six bands, and we'd all play the same battle of bands. And but yeah, I think that's when you're trying to be cool as high school. But yeah, and the first 6 or 7 years, I had no idea what it was to play guitar or even play with a drummer. But that was it. When I started playing with the drummer with that Marshall, with the 2 amps, you know, that's when I started really getting the bug and wanting more pedals and gear. Yeah. A lot of people stop listening to music, newer music, when they're a certain age. You know, so I was kind of lucky that I could satisfy the dad rock guys, but I could play some Sonic Youth or something. You know, maybe is that considered dad rock at this point? Probably is. Isn't it?
It probably is. Yeah, I don't think it doesn't qualify as dad rock because it's cool.
Right.
It probably still is cool, isn't it? But,
Yeah.
you know, at the day the Rolling Stones stopped being cool I'm done.
Dark
I'm done
day.
by on that day.
Of course.
I think. You were playing this earlier.
Yes.
We've never seen that before.
Yeah,
What's
it's
that there from
you know, Benson.
your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it totally is. I just drove over there and he's like, I got a pedal now, because you know Benson, he's got these great amps.
Yeah.
And it was just, there's no diode clipping. It's basically his preamp from one of his amplifiers, the Chimera, and it's using FETs. You know,
Right.
so
Oh, wow.
I kind of figured out that I like that because I like these kinds of amps that are already kind of driving on their own. I learned that my favorite sort of light drive is something that doesn't have that diode in there that's compressing even more.
Sure.
And then the trails of a chord, sometimes they fizzle out, you know, with diodes.
Can I make a hypothesis?
Yeah.
And you can tell me if this is right or wrong because I've never thought about this until this moment. So if you have something like a tube screamer or anything that's got an IC making it louder and something else clipping to make it distorted, those two things happen in an overdrive pedal. What Andy's saying is this one doesn't have the clipping part; it just has the first part, but in this case FET rather than
Right.
IC. So in order to get a really nice overdrive sound, you need those two elements of those things happening. In a pedal, it's happening in the pedal, right? But that's doing the clipping. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Because I'm also using it as a little bit of a clean boost.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit just adding up and ending at the amplifier. Where I know there's a lot of people, their approach is completely clean pedal platform, and that's fine. I mean, but I've always just, like I said, growing up with Marshalls, and it's just I have a soft spot for it, and so if I want to get crazy with drive, I'll go maybe to the extremes and put a fuzz face style fuzz, or basically a distortion that can do everything, and then or even an octave fuzz or something like that, just to kind of.
Let's hear it.
You want to hear this?
Let's hear it.
Well, you guys played a little bit of this.
Yeah,
Odyssey,
we know this one. I just wouldn't mind a quick listen to this.
Okay, yeah, and funny enough, it actually does do some great breakup on its own, almost like tweed stuff. So I'll start clean and then maybe.
Can you say we'll start with your clean?
Okay, yeah. Here's my clean tone.
Come on!
I think there's some memes going around talking about that.
Got it in
Yeah,
there. That's brilliant, mate.
I think I actually said here's the bypass signal. I think that was.
Oh, that's almost as good.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway. Bypass signal. And the thing is, the bass and treble are kind of like the amp. So if I have the bass all the way off, it's not really like I'm cutting a lot of bass. It's his UK voicing of that amp.
Okay.
So it's not one of these you have to be afraid of turning stuff down.
Yeah.
So you get to experiment. And the drive is only like, what is that, 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
So then you get almost like some Neil Young amp about to explode. So it's all over the place.
Wow.
Ah, that's really interesting.
And no diode clipping. So yeah, that's an interesting. I mean, I never knew anything about that until.
Actually, sounds like a dying Fender Deluxe as well.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite sounds. Once I figured out that he wasn't using a fuzz on any of that, it was just
the amp.
mind blown. Yeah.
just a dying amp. Yeah.
And his what's the thing he
The gizmo.
the gizmotron
yeah.
thing, yeah.
What are the strings like on butters at the moment, Dan?
Pretty good.
Andy, we're totally using you for questions. Is that any flat?
Yeah. Down.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interested to hear the difference in sound in these two guitars.
Okay.
This is a tangent, by the way, but we're going with it. Any observations?
I mean, this definitely has the warmth. It has a vintage thing going on. But
That's hi-fi.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
massive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. Sorry, this is a massive tangent. I'm really interested in this guitar too. It's my first ever proper American guitar. Back when I was 21 years old. not this one, a different one, but the same model.
The telly.
Yeah, an
Wow.
ASAT Special, exactly the same as this, but red, and with white bits. But maple neck and swamp ash body,
Oh, wow.
and it's all the things I don't like about guitars.
Right.
Ceramic pickups, thick finish.
Yep. It's 9.1 radius.
Weird tuners,
Yeah.
flat radius.
Yeah,
And yet, I love that guitar dearly. And while he was playing this, I was thinking, that sounds really good.
It does. It sounds fantastic.
Just really chimey.
Yeah, it doesn't. Because I associate ceramic pickups with this really harsh.
Right. One of my favorite pickups is this. I think it's DiMarzio Super Distortion from the 70s, the cream
no way.
one. That's ceramic, and I think it helped me with the way I play, because I could get a little bit more brightness in the high end. And
That pickup, it's called Super Distortion, but what is it? The output of it? Is it a crazy high output pickup?
it might be 12, 14.
Okay. I mean, there's not.
That's
Not
what
seen
I
what
thought
happened
it
in
was.
vain.
But,
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
You see so many guitars. I mean, if you bought a used guitar in the 80s, it probably had one of those.
Right.
pickups in
Yeah.
it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because someone had smacked with it. Anyway, sorry, we are massively digressing. Benson, okay, really like that. I think we should get one of those down.
Very cool.
And you were saying you might juice it with another pedal, or you would use the other pedal.
Yeah, so this would be sort of like clean boost, low gain, but like you said, if I wanted to get sort of a dying tweed amp, I could do it. But just the way I thought in arranging this board, I would keep that on the cleaner side, the Benson that is, and then after this Odyssey, which does everything, it does screamer stuff, it does like rat stuff. The input gain, I think, is the key, the X1, 2, and 5. Because, and I could just show you my
please.
revelation with that one.
Wow.
And that was from.
That's just boosting the input of the pedal.
Yeah.
I do have it, because this one does have some interesting clipping options. I think that's two different types of diode clip.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a 2-pair.
Yeah.
But that seems to be more of the amp style.
And where do you prefer the clipping? Out of
I
interest?
actually to the right, yeah, because the left I think wasn't that the sort of TS? It's very a little more compressed. So the gain's a little high.
Oh, you want?
Yeah.
Ace.
So you can feel it. I don't know if it's audible to everyone, but there's a little more compression. So that's what the Benson doesn't
right.
do.
Right.
Yeah, big time, especially
Yeah.
in the heavy clipped
Right.
mode. It was pretty much there. Okay, what haven't we looked at? We haven't looked at any of your wobbly stuff.
Well, yeah, modulation. The vibe, I think I always had like just the basic micro vibe, the Voodoo Lab, and
They're great.
yeah, it's
Really
still
great.
a lamp and photocell.
Yeah.
There's been some great stuff coming out recently, with expression pedal stuff. But to me, it has to have. It's almost like a heartbeat, like it's two separate a lub dub.
Yeah.
It has to have. Asymmetrical, blah 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 blah, or like you're driving on a flat tire or something. So obviously the.
Holy cow, that's... I'll need you to set ours up because ours doesn't
that
sound
sounds
like that.
way better than we managed to make it sound.
There's all sorts of the trimmers on the
Yeah.
side. It's like the amount of asymmetricalness.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these vibes, I think they sound more like a phaser. It's just a sine wave. It's it doesn't have the double.
Dub.
Yeah, the flub
And is
dub.
that's a photo cell in there, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
and,
not, yeah.
and they're on to the. I think you guys have the newer one, the gray one. I just hung on to this one from the demo I did, and I was sold. And I keep it on the classic mode because you could get I think that changes the impedance.
Can we try?
Yeah.
That sounds unbelievable.
It sounds mega, but I can't stop listening to that Belle Epoch Deluxe.
Yeah, that's kind of nice that it's at the end of the board because I could just leave it on, change my presets, and it's always doing its thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, mega. Okay, you mentioned phase, so
Right. I love the. I always had a Phase 90 forever. It was like the first pedal. I think that and the Bluesbreaker, the Marshall Bluesbreaker pedal, I bought them in the early 90s. And that was it. And then this does, I think, both, because it does 2, 3, and 4 stage phasing.
yep.
And a lot of the stuff I was playing, or learning guitar was like a lot of live albums from the 70s, and you're gonna hear some Phase 90.
When you hear Andy pull the songs out, it sounds like, oh man. I've watched so many of your videos, and the songs that you pull out, and think the catalogue tunes in your head. It's remarkable, and just to hear you
Just flip through.
flicking them out,
Yeah.
it's like, oh man.
I got lucky and I landed in the right key, but yeah, I always like to kind of do the B sides or the rare stuff, because I think if anyone were, a fan of that band, they'd appreciate it just that much more. That I play, some like, Iggy Pop, off of The Idiot, not Lust for Life, that kind of stuff. And
So cool.
so
That's so
his
cool.
radio show on BBC Six Music. Have you ever listened to that?
I haven't. No.
He does a radio show on BBC Six Music, and it is fantastic.
Really?
He might play some like Duke Ellington one minute, and then
Yeah.
he'll play some weird ass band from Finland who only use a timp, and nothing else.
Have you read his biography?
No, I think it would hurt.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah.
fascinating.
Anyway, sorry. Once again, a digression.
Wobbly stuff.
Yeah. So I apologise. It's a bit weird when you lean over and change things on another man's pedalboard, but I figure we're among friends and it's okay.
Yeah, you could
No jokes, no jokes.
you could twiddle those things.
If it's not obvious, the Empress Phaser has 2, 3, and 4 stage
Right.
phasing, and that's what I was just flipping between.
And it's still analog. And
Yeah.
thinking when this came out, I think it was 09, 2010, one of the first digitally controlled analog pedals.
which of course is the thing.
The thing
isn't
now.
it?
And I think they're
Yeah.
kind of underrated, I mean, they don't have crazy graphics or anything, and it does this, and I'll see if I could find it easily, but it does like touch auto modes. So these change roles. Now we have input sensitivity and how fast it closes. it doesn't get predictable because you can kind of change how
It's really nice.
how fast it goes and
Very cool.
Yeah, and I thought that would take care of all the MXR style phase on the board, so I wouldn't have to put my vintage MXRs on there. But the chorus is kind of a one. I don't know why. I started buying these up. You could find them for like $40 on Reverb, and they're analog, and it's one of the few choruses that have a delay time control, and I think that is
Really?
everything. Yeah, because some of these they're just fixed, and you can play with the depth a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a rumor, if it's true or not. But this was the John Frusciante one from Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Almost like your Electric Mistress.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
Can I?
yeah.
Play with the delay time.
Thank you.
It sounds like your Broken Sea one.
It does.
Yeah, really shallow because
Yeah.
I never really wanted to get into that 80s. Just it was overdone, and so if I could get I'm always been a flange guy too, but the flangers I seem to have are huge. I have the big chrome Morley one. That's not gonna fit, and well actually I've had some other smaller ones like Ibanez are great too, but that just has something special about it, and it's technically a chorus, but.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
There's a bit of a theme here, isn't there? So, I don't know if you've seen today during your travels, or you probably knew anyway, Boss have reissued the Dimension C
Oh wow!
in a Wazza format.
Amazing.
So it's the dimension effect, and that idea of using chorus bass things to thicken rather than as that
warble.
Yeah. And that's what that reminds me of. It kind of has a bit of phasey, almost a bit of phasey character to it. Or
Yeah.
something.
Sometimes you hit it right, and it must be the comb filtering. If you play maybe something a little heavier, and you could dial that delay time, you almost get this. It's not through zero, but it almost wants to kind of suck in like to oblivion.
Let's try it.
You want to try it?
Yep.
Let's see.
Super
I
flangey.
love that.
It almost
Super
wants to go there, but then that's great because it doesn't disappear.
Yeah.
The through zero flange is really cool, but it's kind of it goes away.
Yeah.
The thing under the
thing
board.
under the board.
Yes,
So this is the Super Fuzz, and who made this?
Wattson.
Wattson
Yeah.
Super Fuzz, and it's a copy of the Univox.
Univox.
The Super Fuzz, and which is the same as the Shinei Duo
Shinei.
Fuzz. Paul Stacey actually put me onto this pedal.
Really?
Yeah, and it is the most incredible. Actually, he called yesterday. I was having dinner with Andy. He said, "Tell Andy." I said hello, even though I don't know him. It's Feels like I know him.
Oh, nice.
That's so cool.
Jimmy Page on hold. Stop calling me.
But this is an exceptional sounding fuzz octave. There's so much harmonic content in there.
It's a really great alternative to just the Octavia style stuff. I first heard it in another live album I grew up with, Live at Leeds, The Who.
Right.
It's the fuzz on that album, and I didn't know that until really I did the demo of this way back. It's just a little more gnarly with the gain structure, a lot of harmonics coming out. You play up high.
It sounds like Freddy Krueger's ice cream van. Doesn't it? When you were playing that. You want a 99?
The amazing thing about this, though, is that lots of octave pedals, around, neck pickup, 12th fret, but this, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it seems to do, and that's why, I first learned that doing those Who licks, like. The Heaven and Hell, that was my, and that's a lower solo. Still gives me chills. And the great thing about that album is that you could pan it one direction, and it's just you and John Entwistle because the way they mixed it.
Wow.
Pete's on one side, the aux on the other.
Too cool. Too cool. I think there's a couple of purchases ahead for you and Dan there. So it works in real life as well as it does on video.
Great. All right, I did my job.
If we didn't say that right at the beginning, and we probably blooming well should have done, Andy works for Reverb now.
That's true.
And if you don't know what Reverb is, again, you might be living under a rock. Reverb, I don't know if this is the actual company line or not, basically is now much better than eBay for buying and selling stuff.
Yeah.
For musicians specifically.
Which is my view of it.
It's a marketplace for musicians.
We bought a high one on Reverb, actually.
Yeah,
we did.
So we borrowed one. We loved it. I went out there and said, Dan, we need to buy one of these before somebody sells them, before they all get sold when this video comes out. Went onto Reverb, found this 1973
100
high watt in London.
Ooh, great.
Paid the money, went and got it. And so if you don't know Reverb, please go check it out. It's a great place to buy and sell stuff.
Yeah, and they've been treating me well because I continue to do the same thing. I'm actually not at the warehouse anymore at Pro Guitar Shop. I'm at my home studio, bedroom turned into studio. But I'm doing the same thing, and I'm doing it. I'm recording it still. I'm editing, most of the takes that I like, and then it's just been a great experience because I feel like I can continue my resource to the world. It was
selling. One of those kind of stomach in mouth moments when we'd heard that Reverb had essentially either bought or taken over Pro Guitar Shop.
Right, yeah.
And we're like, oh no, what's going to happen to Andy? And thankfully, you're part of.
They weren't silly.
Part of that as well.
No, it was a great move, I think, on their part, and it helped. Yeah, it helped. It certainly was an easy transition, because the people are so great there, and I get a little bit of. I get to get out a little bit more. I met you guys at NAMM this year and doing GitCon, and
feels like the content's a little more editorialized as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Wider scope, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's important because there's a lot of guys doing demos.
We filmed yesterday. We're just going around London, looking at guitar shops and venues and stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is all right. We hadn't been visited Jimi Hendrix's flat, which I hadn't
Yeah.
seen before.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And
It
the guys
was
from
cool.
Reverb are like, we just want to film stuff that guitar players would like. It's like, awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's not not that the PGS videos were really a hard sell. I mean, they certainly weren't, because it was always a demo, not a review.
Yeah,
so I
sure.
never said this or that, whether it was good or bad, because really we were saying there's really not a lot of
Bad stuff.
Yeah,
No.
people are making some great, and the quality wise too.
Sure.
It's not going to crumble under your feet.
It's such an odd discussion, isn't it? I mean, the example I would always use is a Dan Electro guitar. If you reviewed a Dan Electro guitar objectively, you would say this is a piece of junk. It should never have been made, because it's two bits of
Plastic.
pressed material over a flimsy wooden body with a barely attached neck. Dreadful nut, dreadful bridge, horrible tuners, awful pickups. It's literally a piece of junk, and yet
It just has
one of the
that
most
sound.
compelling, inspiring guitars
Yeah.
you could ever play.
Absolutely.
Contrast that with the other thing, the perfectly made drop top,
Yeah.
amazing, like dripping inflamed maple,
Right.
beautiful, not a bad edge on it anywhere. For $8,000, you play it and you're like,
Oh, I love that Spirit song.
And so sorry, laboured point there, but there's no good and bad. There is no good
Yeah.
and bad. It's just what
Yeah.
appeals to you.
Yeah,
and
what connects
inspires
with
I
you.
think so. And going back to the pedal platform amps versus, there's that. My approach isn't better than the clean platform. It's just everyone has a totally different experience.
Yeah.
They didn't grow up with the same records as I did, and I didn't
Sure.
grow up the same ones as they did, and that's what's great about, being in the gear industry, is that we all come together. We feel like we already know each other, and it just be through the magic of playing,
Yeah.
and we could all have different tastes, but we're having a good time.
But you always learn something.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about sitting down with somebody of differing tastes, is you learn something.
Man, I've learnt so much
Absolutely.
today.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's
Like
been
there's
amazing.
two Belle Epoch Deluxes on order.
Yeah, definitely. Right, let's break out this metal tape.
All right,
let's do it.
Dying to hear this. There it is.
October 4th. That's a sticker that Matt from Boss put on there to say, do not do anything with this before October the 4th.
It is so cool that they've done this. There it is. Metazone.
Waza.
Okay.
I'll get the instruction manual. So, as I understand it, what they've done, do you know about this?
No, I have no
Okay.
idea what they've.
My understanding is they have tweaked the mid-range.
Good,
They've
because you only had bass and treble, right?
wasn't there a there was a parametric mid, wasn't it? And that was always the thing with the
Okay.
Metazone.
I can hardly even read that. You might have to do the tweaking.
Here you go. Here's the old one. Bought for £75 from Anderton's. And there's a lot, when we showed that pedal for the first time, people were like, 75 quid, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, much derided. Dan and I did a comedy video with it. So,
Poking it with a stick.
Oh, nice.
yeah, I don't know. We don't know anything more.
Okay, let's
so,
take this
So
as-
you don't know anything about this.
Here we
have you?
go, yes.
How do you demo the new Boss Metazone
man.
NT2 Waza?
Should I get some humbuckers?
Sure.
Yeah. Is the Odyssey 9 volt?
It's already got a battery in it.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, the only guitar we've got here with humbuckers is a
it's-
Gibson ES335,
yeah,
which is
that'll work.
entirely appropriate for a metal zone, I think.
Real rawr.
Yep.
It's not like a. So I wouldn't. Like Judas Priest or something. It comes to mind more than like Metallica or something
I can help
more
you.
modern and cooler. That's not in the right key, but who cares?
That is
It goes all over the place.
still some serious EQ tweakage in there. So, the left-hand pot does bass and treble. The right-hand pot does parametric mid,
Ooh.
which is the same as the old one. And I think it's been tweaked. The EQ's been tweaked, and the gain level has been tweaked.
It sounds tighter to me. I don't know if that's just the arrangement we have today, but
I wonder if this one's got a battery in it. Ready?
Yep, here we go.
see, it makes me do things that I don't normally do. So I'm playing to the pedal.
That's why we got you to do it.
This has been extraordinary, surreal. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang with us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having
Just
me.
wonderful. It's still weird.
I have legs. Yeah.
So you do.
Okay, just a few quick thank yous. Thank you to our patrons on Patreon. Massive thank you to our preferred retailers in the UK and Europe is
Anderton's Music of Guildford in Surrey.
in the US of A.
Would be Riff City Guitar of New Hope, Minnesota, and Sioux Falls, Dakota.
Very good. And Brisbane, Queensland, Australia.
Yes, them as well. Pedal Empire.
Pedal Empire.
Yeah, and we should also give an honorary shout out to Reverb.com,
Yes.
for whom Andy works.
Yes, and for bringing him over and
Yeah.
letting him hang, and so good.
Check it out. That Pedal Show store.
Pedalshowstore.com.
We've got t-shirts with words on them now.
like this.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the words. But there's apparently the new one is my daughter was reading them out, reading out the effects. She got to Brotary.
Yeah,
She said
loads of people have said Brotary.
Rotary. It's so cool.
Yeah, maybe we should invent that.
Is that in proper order too?
Yes.
It's in an order.
Brilliant. Thank you so much,
Thank
mate.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Dan,
Have a
Mick.
fantastic week. We'll see you later. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.